as they get close to the start of the season. Sheil with us right now. Good morning, Sheil.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
I mean,
awesome.
Better than I would be if I had been out there for an hour in the heat yesterday. Was it the right or wrong decision for the station? And it was the station. It was management. It was not me. Right or wrong decision to postpone yesterday?
I'm fine with the decision. It's got to come earlier.
Yeah.
The indecision. We got all the weather apps and forecasts. Come on now. You can't be waiting. People are driving and flying in. But I heard the guy call. He's taking a train in yesterday. I mean, people are coming to see this. You got to make the call earlier.
Yeah, David drove back from the shore.
It's a fair criticism, Sheil. Yeah. I don't disagree with you. When was the Eagles Vikings game that was postponed? When did they postpone it? Do you remember?
I actually don't. That might have been more last minute than this one.
It was.
I don't think it was 2 hours before. I think it wasn't.
More. It was way more because people didn't show up to the stadium on Monday.
Because I will tell you.
No, it went from a Sunday to a Tuesday, James. I think it was Sunday Night Football, I believe.
That was the snowstorm.
You think
right?
it was a Monday?
I thought it was a Monday.
I thought
Tuesday.
It went from a Sunday to a Tuesday.
It might.
Tell me the Eagles defense is going to be good. I don't know that he's right. I hope that he's right. He's even saying they might be great. What do your instincts tell you based on what you've seen and what you know?
Yeah, I've got him as a top 5 defense again this season. I know they lost guys. I think some of that we are overrating, and I think some of that we should have concerns about. I think my biggest concern right now is the moving pieces in the secondary, and that's absolutely a valid concern, and we'll see how that plays out. But I just have so much trust in Vic Fangio that he's going to be able to find one of these guys that is a good fit and put them in position to succeed. And then you look across the board. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell looks incredible. Cooper DeJean looks great. The linebackers, for the first time, maybe in our lifetime, we can say they might have the best linebacking duo in the NFL. Now, we got to see with Jihad Campbell, but that type of ceiling is there with this linebacker duo. And then, of course, you know what you have with Jalen Carter. So I hear you if you tell me, hey, they lost a lot of snaps and it's not the same guys, and they might not be as good as they were last year. But as I'm assessing the rest of the NFL right now, I've got 2, maybe 3 other defenses that I put in the same league as the Eagles. So I still think this is going to be a great defensive football team.
Well, I'm very glad to hear you say that because, I really respect your opinion. I hope you are right as well. All right, let's get to what Fangio said about Adoree Jackson. I did not think this reflected well on Adoree Jackson yesterday, Sheil. I agree with John's contention that Fangio is challenging him, but, man, this concerned me. 2 different pieces of audio. Let's start first with this one, which I found to be the strangest, because in many ways it almost felt like Fangio was separating himself from Howie Roseman in the decision making, almost maybe like a little shot at Howie. I don't know. Make of it what you will. I thought this was strange. Here's what Fangio said about Adoree Jackson.
I didn't watch a whole lot of tape on him. Howie kind of wanted to sign him, and when Howie wants to sign somebody, it doesn't matter what I say. So we just took him in, and I didn't really watch a lot of his tape last year, but I've seen him play over the years. Saw him when he was coming out of college.
All right, Sheil, what'd you make of that one? I thought that was bizarre.
I thought it was hilarious that Vic Fangio is just going to go up there, like your uncle who's maybe had a couple, one too many glasses of wine at Thanksgiving, and you're not sure what's going to come out of their mouth, and he'll tell you what he thinks. I think Vic Fangio in the draft, I think he certainly has a big say in the players that they select. I don't think they're taking anybody who he doesn't like. But I was thinking back to last year around this time, and he's being asked about Bryce Huff at training camp. And he's saying, well, yeah, he's got to prove himself against the run. And it's not the exact same thing, but kind of similar.
Sure.
Saying,
yeah,
you know what,
exactly.
this is someone we brought in for competition, but, I wasn't going into Howie's office for this guy and saying, hey, let's go sign him. He's going to be my starting corner. So I think he's still figuring out that position. I think he wants to see these guys get more reps. To me, the biggest question is if he sees Keely Ringo and says, hey, this guy can be a really good player by October, November, then do I let him take his lumps early in the season? Because I do think that's a part of it with all of these young cornerbacks.
So one more on Adoree Jackson from Fangio, because he went out of his way to say something else. Let's play this one and then make of it what you will.
Why do you think that this is the place that he can maybe show? You mentioned what he could be. Is it the scheme?
Yeah, I don't know if I think it's the place. I think it's time for him to show that. he in Tennessee when it came time to re-sign him, after his contract was up, they didn't. The Giants, his contract was up, they didn't. It's time to show who he is or who he isn't.
See, Sheil, here's my contention. Make of it what you will of whether Fangio should or shouldn't say it, and I agree with John that he's challenging him. But what I take out of that as an Eagles fan is my team just went from Darius Slay to this guy? Oh man, come on now. What do you think?
The guy was supposed to be Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo, I believe, is letting it slip away, and Adoree Jackson is overtaking him right
But
now.
my point is, it's a problem either way. That's my point. It's not Darius Slay. It's one of these two guys. Sheil, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most likely scenario is you're going to have a downgrade at that cornerback position with the way Darius Slay played last year, and now whoever you're replacing him with this year. The question is, how much of a downgrade is it? Can you still get competent cornerback play from one of these two guys? I mean, Adoree Jackson's been in the league, 8 years? He turns 30 in September. This typically is not the time where you see a cornerback all of a sudden. Now, it happens sometimes. James Bradbury came to the Eagles, and he was later in his career, and he had a terrific season in 2022, but it's typically not the time where a guy kind of takes off and has a career season. So I still think the best-case scenario for them is a guy like Ringo winning that job, who has some upside, who can grow into the role. But I think Fangio is telling you, that neither of them are going to be handed the job. It's not, we're 5 days into camp. It's not like he's seen either of them just kind of, grab it and say, hey, this is my job. I'm playing great. So he needs to see more. We're not even in August yet, and so this is one we just kind of have to keep an eye on, revisit every week here until we get to week 1.
I'm really excited about the defense, as Joe mentioned, but how concerned should we be about the fact that 3 of our linebackers, but actually 3 starters, Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, were not practicing yesterday in various, degrees of injury. How concerned should we be about that, Sheil?
Yeah, I think the edge group, I kind of split those into, Nolan Smith is kind of part of that edge group with the outside linebackers. That is a concern. Nolan Smith had the concussion, I think it was earlier this week in practice, and they're not deep there. Jalen Hunt, even if you're bullish about him, behind those two guys, you really just took some low-cost flyers on some veterans like Josh Uche in the offseason. So that is a bit of a concern. Off-ball linebacker, I actually feel great about. Now, I don't know the details of Zach Bond's injury, but as long as he's going to be available in the regular season, I mean, watching the potential with him and Jahad Campbell and their length to protect the middle of the field in coverage, I mean, that's where these offenses are attacking, and these guys are two of the best. I don't want to get ahead of myself with Jahad Campbell, so I should say has the potential to be one of the better coverage linebackers in the NFL. And I'll tell you what, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I thought had 2 good days of practice.
Yeah.
From what I saw, I mean, I thought
he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Exactly. Yep, that's exactly what I felt like. His head wasn't spinning. He was reading stuff. He was moving, and so
makes him look faster. He's playing faster because he knows exactly where to be and how to anticipate this year. And it's really reflected in the way he's playing. He's making a strong push right now. And man, they've got a lot of talent inside. They've got, I wonder, with Nolan Smith, okay, he's got that. Basically, Fangio told us it's Nolan and Jalen Hunt. Seal the deal with those guys. When you see these other pass rushers, Sheil, who's the best? Who should make the team out of Uche, Ojulari, the Agbo guy? All these names, they all feel sort of like similarly even right now coming off the edge.
I think that's right. I don't think, and none of them, to be honest, really popped for me. I think if I had to pick one, I would say Uche because he has played. He has had one big sack season, and he did yesterday with Nolan Smith out. He was the guy out there replacing him. So I kind of watch what the coaches tell me with how they're rotating guys in with the depth chart with the first team and the second team. But listen, it's an area where they've got, what did Howie say, 13 draft picks going into next season, where if there is a veteran edge rusher, and it might not be the most flashy guy, but a guy who can be, hey, your third edge rusher there, that they might look into that. I think if there's one area where you say, hey, Sheil, they're going to make a trade between now and week 1, I think that might be the most likely scenario, although you could also talk me into, potentially them doing something at safety as well.
Sheil Kapadia with us from the Ringer right now. All right, it's great talking D. I love it. Let's talk some O, though, as well. Sheil, the offense, Jalen and the offense, the last 2 practices that you saw, how did you think they looked?
Listen, I think the defense got the better of them the last 2 days, but I went into this camp thinking I don't really care that much what I see out of Jalen Hurts. The last time we watched Jalen Hurts, he was going up against the Hall of Fame defensive coordinator on the biggest stage against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and he lit him up. So, I went into this camp saying if Jalen Hurts has a couple days or the offense struggles a couple days, let's not panic about that. We just saw them do it in the playoffs. So I think they've got stuff to work on. There's no doubt about it. My concern is how much change are we going to see from what we saw last year with the new offensive coordinator. And I don't know that it's going to be a lot. I think we could be in for a little bit of what we had last year where you had some good moments. You had some moments where we say, hey, this doesn't look right. And you hope you find it at the right moment in the playoffs on the biggest stage. So, yeah, they've had some ups and downs. Devontae Smith didn't practice yesterday, so you're limited a little bit with your pass catchers. You're not, running the football, tackling to the ground completely. So that's obviously what this offense is built on. So you're not going to see that. We're training camps more of a passing camp. So that's kind of where I stand after the last couple of days with the offense.
Sheil, am I mistakenly thinking they're going to pass to the backs more? Because they are passing to the backs in camp this year more than I've seen in the regular season, if you go percentage of plays or whatever. But it does feel like it when I reflect back to all the previous camps, I do feel like they throw to the backs a lot in camp. And maybe that's just a product of checking it down because there's not really sacks happening, with the way that they don't take the quarterback to the ground. I'm not sure. It does feel like with Kevin Patullo calling the shots, he's saying that Jalen is really hasn't missed a beat and it hasn't taken a step back, sort of that Jalen has advanced in his knowledge and understanding of the offense this year with Patullo calling the shots. Does this offense include more activity for the backs in the passing game?
Yeah, I'll kind of believe it when I see it. I'm with you. It feels like one of those things that you often see at the practices and then the game start. I mean, last year was weird where week 1, they designed a beautiful play to Saquon Barkley for the touchdown against the Packers in Brazil. And then the rest of the season, you're saying, where is that? And so I think with the checkdowns, what we see across the NFL is that the quarterbacks who can scramble and make plays with their legs are less likely to check it down because they get to that check down and they say, yeah, I could throw it out to him in the flat, or I could just take off myself. And oftentimes it's a good decision to take off themselves. We saw that with Jalen Hurts at least a couple times every game in some high leverage spots, making plays as a scrambler. So we'll see. I think it will be a good thing. I think it's in the playbook. I think they have those designs in there. We saw it last year. They just didn't get to them as much as maybe we thought they were going to get.
All right, Sheil, final thing here. Gut feeling. Is there going to be a starter for the Eagles week 1 that is not currently on this football team? Namely for a defensive spot. Corner or safety, not currently on the team that starts week 1.
I'm going to say no. I think it'll be the guys we see. I think it could be like I said, a third edge rusher potentially. And I think you could see something at safety potentially. I'm not predicting that. I mean, one of the most interesting things right now, real quick, is Cooper DeJean's role. You know, it feels like they think he's the best safety and they think he's the best nickel. And the thing I'll leave you with is keep an eye on this 5th-round pick, Mac McWilliams, the corner they got from Central Florida. Hearing Vic Fangio talk about his instincts and his football savvy really caught my attention yesterday. Where is there a scenario where they say, hey, he's a really good nickel and we can actually play Cooper DeJean at safety even when we're in those sub packages?
Wow.
I'm not telling you that's going to happen, but that's on my radar a little bit the next week or two, how they're using those guys. I do think there could be some shuffling with where these guys play.
Good deal. That would mean that Mac McWilliams jumps Perry Nickerson from San Francisco.
Yeah, I think McWilliams has been in there in dime with the first team. And again, I think he's somebody who it seems like Fangio might have gotten in the scouts ear and in Howie's ear and said, hey, I like this guy. I can use this guy immediately like I used those defensive backs last year.
All right, Sheil, great work as always. We look forward to talking to you a ton more once we get to this thing really cranking up with the start of the season. Sheil, thanks so much, man.
All right, guys, take care. Talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
Sheil.
All right, Sheil Kapadia.
Such a huge deal. Think about that. We've got a lot of flexibility with the way Cooper DeJean can do everything. We talked about.
Here's what he's not going to be. He's not going to be. He's not going to be the outside corner in base.
No.
He's either going to be the safety or he's going to be the safety.
It depends who else we bring in. In all likelihood, I think it depends who we're able to find, and it might not be right at the beginning of the year. I think this could be an adjustment on the fly during the season as well. Cooper DeJean, when guys go down with injury, they're going to continue to try to find the best 5 or 6 DBs if we're going dime.
Look, the good news is
to put on the field.
Other team only goes base offense maybe 10% of the time. So I mean, Vic Fangio even said this week
that's why you need 5.
Yeah, Eagles aren't working on it themselves defensively much because the Eagles' offense doesn't do it much.